Welcome to GTM's Tax Automation series on one-source tax provision functionality. In this session, we are going to be walking through how to create roll-up reports within the software. So the roll-up functionality or the setup of roll-ups exists in the administration area under System, Manage Roll-ups. Now, this is where you can come to create a custom view for your deferred roll-ups, your effective tax rates, as well as your tax basis balance sheet. So if we are to create a new one, you can give it whatever name you want to give it. And then you're going to assign a roll-up code to it, which must be something from either 10 to 99 that's not been used. And currently we have a variety of codes here. So let's pick 51. And then you would select the type of roll-up that you want to create. Is it a deferred, an effective tax rate, or a trial balance roll-up? I'll just go ahead and create a deferred roll-up. Now, once you've saved the roll-up, you are then going to have to create categories for the roll-up as well, which you will do in the roll-up section by selecting New. So you determine whatever the groupings are that you want for your roll-ups. And once you have created the groupings, then you are going to come down and assign something to the roll-ups. If you notice, all of the items below are currently unassigned. So if you wanted to assign something once you've created the roll-up categories, you simply select the item, and then you go to the bottom of your screen and select the drop-down area to then pick the roll-up category that you want to assign this item to. Now, this is not a terrible thing to do within the system if you only have one item to assign, but if you're assigning multiple items and also creating multiple categories, I would suggest that you do this in Excel by exporting out the roll-up. So what I want to show you here is the same thing I just walked through within the software. And this came from an export of the categories. So this has all of the different sheets that are needed if you wanted to import something back into the administration area of one-source tax provision. I've kind of tried to color coordinate here so that you can see the different groupings. And the first thing you would do is create what we call your category, your roll-up set, and give it a code. So this is where you would assign that R code between 10 and 99. And here we're doing a deferred footnote summary. You create the code, you gave the code a name, and then you tell the system what type of roll-up you're trying to create. Is this a deferred, an effective tax rate, or a tax basis? And over here, I kind of filtered down to some that's already been created in the system, and you can see it's either TB, an EFF, or a DEF for the different types of roll-ups that you're creating. Once you've created the roll-up set, so this is my creating the deferred footnote, you are then going to create the categories for the roll-up. So these are your CR codes. Your CR codes can either be numeric or they can be alpha as well, if you prefer that. They can be the same as the bucket name if you would like. They don't have to be different. And once you've created your roll-up categories, then you're going to assign the components to the roll-up categories. So those will be your CRR codes. So you can kind of take a look at this as kind of like a stepped concept. And if I was to go and take a look at the component types, you're going to see here that it is all types of temporary differences because we are looking at a deferred roll-up view. We've got our after-tax temporary differences, NOLs, state after apportionment temporary differences, state after-tax temporary differences, and our regular temporary differences would all get assigned. If something is not assigned to a category, this is going to show up at the bottom of your report as unassigned. So a best practice is to create possibly like an other grouping. So for things that don't fall into any particular category, you could have them fall into this kind of default bucket so that you do not have anything showing up in your report as unassigned, because the rollups can be created for a variety of things. They can be used for, in this case, footnote reporting, but they could also be used for things such as just reconciliation or as a tool for you to do review. If we're creating an effective tax rate or trial balance view, there are additional components. So if I take a look at my effective tax rate rollup, I will also be assigning permanent differences and tax adjustments in the rollup, along with all of the temporary differences as well. For the trial balance, your codes, your component types will be TBB because this will reflect all of your trial balance sublines or your accounts coming from your chart of accounts. So once you've created that, you can simply import that back into OneSource tax provision using the import categories area. So how do you run the reports when you're ready? I'm going to go into the deferred balances report first, and in the option area, you will change your view from detail to hybrid, and then you're going to select your rollup. So let's run this report. And as you can see, here's my deferred footnote rollup view. There is grouping so that you can see the subtotals for each of the areas. And as I mentioned, anything that's not been assigned is going to fall into that unassigned bucket. So this will be your flag when you run the report that potentially maybe you created a brand new adjustment in a period and you did not assign it to the roll-up. It will fall out into this area, and you will need to then possibly go to the administration area. You can do it manually, or if it's multiple items, you can import them. On the effective tax rate area, you will see this under the roll-up, and you can select the rate rec. There is no hybrid view. On your trial balance, if you're running your tax basis balance sheet, you will come into options and also select the roll-up that you want to run the report in.